hi there, and hello there, friend. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today I thought it would be super fun to do a soft spoken with like a super interesting and fun topic. The last soft spoken that I did was my tattoo tour. Not only am I not a huge fan of my own voice, but when I've done so many videos whispering, I feel so loud. I feel so loud when I do soft spoken. So, but I know some of you prefer them and like them a lot, so I'm doing another one. I just wanted to choose a really cool topic, and I feel like I did really well in my choice. I was on social media, saw this article about this Reddit user that asked this forum or this online group, like, hey, what's the creepiest thing your kid has said about their past life? I'm like, wait, what? I got 3 kids. One of them talks well and has never said anything about a past life. Do explain. Share. So it seems like most of these stories are about kids ages 3 to 4 years old talking about these bizarre events and experiences that can easily be interpreted as past lives. It's nuts, and it's so cool. Whether I believe it or not, I don't know. Whether I think that it's possible, I don't know. I have no idea. But if it is, cool. Sign me up. Sounds like fun. Anyway, I thought some of these stories were really neat, so I thought I'd share some with you. I don't know how many I'll share because my phone is dying and I'm filming with it, and I don't have a ton of space left, so we'll see how this goes. Alright, so the first one is really interesting because it's an older person, right? It's this dude that's kind of first explaining that he's not crazy, and then going on to say all the degrees he holds, and then talking about, since he was a child, I had the memory of me stumbling out the back door of a club. I couldn't hold myself. Either I was really drunk or on drugs, and I slipped down a staircase, hit my head in the alley, and died. I was about 19. I was thin, had long blonde hair. I was wearing a brown and red leather jacket. I remember the neon signs, the staircase, the door I walked out of, even the interior. I can paint the picture perfectly if I had any talent in art. Anyway, so 2 years ago I took a leisure trip to Budapest, and while exploring the ruined pubs with my wife, I found the alley. It was funny because I remarked to my wife earlier when we arrived that I felt something about Budapest that felt like home and familiar, and I felt oddly too comfortable there, like I could have never left. It gives me the chills, dude. Like, so weird. So weird. I could not imagine. Like, could you imagine going somewhere and just everything looking familiar? You turn a corner and you're like, I know there's a club down the road, or there's an alley like 3 paces away. Like, could you imagine? Creep somebody out doing that. Anyway, the second one, I had a brother pass away from brain cancer. At the time, we had a cat who was calico and just sort of knew he was battling something. She was really mean to most people, but with him, she was gentle. He would grab her paws and she would just let it happen. Well, about 3 years after he passed, my parents had another child, another boy. He was about 3 when he told my parents about the white, brown, and calico cat that used to let him grab her paws. She had died about a year before he was born. What? I've heard this about cats sensing things though, like they can sense death. There was a cat that used to be in a nursing home that my mom would visit way back in the day when she used to work a different job, and there was a cat in the nursing home, and every time he would go into someone's room, the next day they would be dead. was crazy. Like, he knew they were dying and he was gonna go in and be with them. And it's just so weird to me, like, to think they can sense that. That's just like they say dogs can smell cancer. Okay, 3. My son said once, "Mommy, when I was big and you were little, I remember when we danced in the kitchen. The only person I ever danced in a kitchen with as a child was my grandfather." That'd be crazy. Let's see. Oh, this one's creepy. My daughter, when she was 3, used to talk about her imaginary friend all the time. She said he was big and fun and spent lots of time playing with her. One day I was scanning old photos and I had a photo of my father on my desk. She said, "Hey, how did you get a photo of my friend?" I've got shivers right now. That's so creepy. I instantly got shivers down my spine. Me too, bruh. My father died in the house 15 years previously, and she played in a room that used to be his office. I cautiously asked her to tell me more about our friend, and without hesitating, she told me he talked funny. The chills stopped me dead in my tracks because my dad was an Aussie who never lost his accent. What? The comment below that one says, "Are you saying us Aussies talk funny?" That's cute. My 5-year-old came to me and said, "I was in your belly twice, Mama. The first time I died before I came out, but I came back." I did lose my first pregnancy 8 months before getting pregnant again. She was never told. I don't know what it was, but that's what happened. That's crazy. Not me, but a friend's little sister. The whole family was out for dinner at a restaurant in a skiing village which was recently bought. My friend's little sister, as soon as they walked in, said, "I know this place. My mom and I used to paint here." To which her mother replied, "We've never been here before. What do you mean?" She replied with, "No, my mom from before. We used to paint here all the time." The family was obviously a little freaked out, but didn't think much about it as she was pretty young and they figured she was just messing around. Later on, though, when talking to the waitress, the little girl again admittedly addressed how she used to paint there, and the waitress revealed that it in fact was an art studio for many years in the 1900s, but had been converted sometime in the early 2000s into a restaurant. Needless to say, the entire table had goosebumps. Wow. My little brother, when he was little, like 3 or 4, said that he was in the jungle saving lives, and one day he had to decide if he would stay with the animals or come live with us. He chose us, but he reminded my mom that he couldn't stay forever, just a little while. He passed this last January at 26. Oh, that's so sad. I can't. It's just too much. When I was 4, my parents and I went to my aunt's farm. The wind started picking up, and I looked back at my parents and said, "Gotta tie the hay bale down in the wind." That's how David died. To this day, no one knows who David is. Ooh. Y'all, these things are giving me chills. I just hit the camera, I'm sorry. I was watching an old video of a jazz drummer playing a solo. No idea who it was, but he was really good. My daughter, probably age 3, was looking over my shoulder for a minute before she said, "I used to play the drums like that when I was a man." That could have been coincident. I used to watch my nephew when he was about 3 or 4. One day we were at the house and pointed to a magnet of Arizona. He had a picture of the desert with rock formations. The kid pointed at it and asked where it was. He said he used to live by red rocks like that with his first family, who all had straight dark hair. His is blonde and curly now. And that he had a mom and dad, and he had had a brother until he went too far into the desert, too close to dark, and got eaten by not dogs, not wolves, but smarter. I said coyotes, and he kind of mouthed the word and said, "Oh, that's what you call them." Then he said he was sad and didn't want to talk about it anymore, so we had lunch, and that was the first and last time he ever mentioned it. When he was around 4, my grandson used to talk about his job at the ice factory. One day, he was talking about his boss, Farvo, and the day he quit. I asked him why he quit, and he turned to me and quite passionately said, "I'll tell you why I quit. They made me work 15 days in a row without a break, and I had enough of that." It was weird hearing all that righteous anger coming from that little boy. Wow. That's funny. When my brother was 3 or 4, he said, when I was a grown-up, I went to war and I never came back. I heard stories like that before. Weird. I was driving my family across the state to visit family. Some commercial on the radio about Vegas came on and started singing Viva Las Vegas in my best Elvis impersonation. My son was about 3 or 4, and he says, "I don't like Vegas. I lost my life and a lot of money there." His mom and I glanced at each other like, "What?" He never said anything else about it. When my son was 4, he had driven past the cemetery. We had driven past the cemetery. He asked me if I remembered when he died and was buried. I said no and asked him what he meant by saying that. He said he had died, was buried in the cemetery, and that's when he started growing in my belly. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, and that's the end of that video. My laptop just died, guys. Tell me that those stories aren't bananas, like so nuts. If you guys are enjoying it, I will totally read more. I think it's so interesting, and I'm so curious to hear your thoughts. Do you guys have any stories? Have you ever heard stories like this before? I am curious. As far as like past lives go and stuff like that, I've heard, I studied religion and all that stuff, past lives, resurrection, all of it, for a long time, for at least a good year to 2 years. I studied this stuff. So I've read up a lot about past lives. A lot of psychics talk about it, and the fact that God sends you back when you don't get things right. So it does. I am curious. And the fact that the kids are only around that age, they say it's because they just recently left heaven that they remember, and then they end up forgetting after they hit like 5. And if you really think back, try to remember memories or things that you did from 3 or 4 years old. Like, I know I don't remember anything. Heck no. I mean, there's like this part of my brain that thinks I remember when my cousin dropped me, but I don't know. I was a baby. I don't know. It's just nuts. So anyway, I'm curious if you guys have stories. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, also don't forget to let me know. It's one of those things that if you guys let me know that you enjoyed it, I can make more. I'm all about it. I enjoy it too. I just love hanging out with you guys. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope to see you in my next video.